The Bellator cage comes to South Florida Friday night with a captivating featherweight title fight atop the bill. And the woman defending that belt is Cris Cyborg, one of the most dominant female fighters in MMA history. Her formula has been consistent. Cyborg comes forward, unloads heavy shots, then when the opportunity presents itself, finishes fights.
It is all over! Cris Cyborg!
As for Cyborg's opponent, Sinead Kavanagh, the Irish fighter nicknamed KO, is aware of the monumental task she's facing. So will she throw caution to the wind, seeking to finish the legend? We'll find out pretty soon. And another fighter on the card to keep your eye on is featherweight Aaron Pico. Not long ago, he was considered the best prospect in all of MMA. And while he may have taken some lumps in his first few fights, Pico's now won 4 straight, all via finish, and looks every bit of the title contender at age 25.
The Anaconda choke! Aaron Pico!
Will Pico inch closer to a title shot against unbeaten Justin Gonzalez? It will be one of the many stories to watch at Bellator 271 in Hollywood, Florida, only on Showtime.
It is tomorrow beginning at 10 o'clock Eastern on Showtime. This is the main card, that Pico Gonzalez bout right there in the middle of your screen, and then the co-main and main at the top. We had weigh-ins today from Hollywood, Florida. Bellator 271 coming up. That's Linton Vassell. He's taking on Tyrell Fortune. And in the main event, Cyborg, a heavy favorite. We're going to get picks from Brian Campbell in just a little bit, see what he thinks about Sinead Kavanagh and her chances for a massive upset. BC spoke with Cyborg earlier this afternoon.
Let's bring her right in. The living legend, the Bellator women's featherweight champion, Cris Cyborg. Another title defense Friday night, Hollywood, Florida. Sinead Kavanagh of Ireland is your opponent. Cris, every time I ask you this, what is your motivation coming in for another big chance to headline a card and defend your title?
You know, for me is my job. I love what I like to. I love fighting. You know, I love every day be here and appreciate all my fans. And the one thing you give me motivate is my faith. I share my faith for all my fans, and I have an MMA event in Brazil. So this is motivate to me because I give the opportunity for another fighters be where I'm at one day. So, and give it to community in Brazil. I think this is making me the real champion. Now, this is making the people hearts champion.
Well, Cris, Sinead Kavanagh has a decorated boxing history. She's an aggressive fighter. What about this fight gets you excited for Friday night?
I believe it's going to be a great fight. And excited because I'm in Miami. I'm going to defend my title. I'm really happy. Thank you, Scott Coke. Thank you, all the Bellator team, for the opportunity to be here. And I'm happy to be here.
Sinead is talking some game this week, Cris. Ahead of this, she's accused you of playing mind games, of leaving cards all around the area with your face on it. Squid games. She's been saying a lot of things. Can you give a true or false? Have you been trying to get inside her head ahead of this fight?
You know, I never in my career have to be inside the head of somebody else when I'm going to fight. You know, it's not my style. You never say anything about my opponent. It's not my style. You know, I like to show inside the octagon. And the card that she's being seen everywhere is actually, it's behind the card when you open. It's one address, the Bitcoin wallet. And the people, the fans would like to donate the money. 50% I'm going to share for every fight, have a fighter or athlete have a Bitcoin just for help to Bitcoin community. There's nothing new about games.
I like that. I like that explanation. We know, as I mentioned, Sinead Kavanagh has that boxing background. She's aggressive. Do you prefer when your opponents come after you, when they go for it, when you defend your title?
You know, it's a lot of options. You know, if she's coming forward or she come leave me, I don't know. It's a lot of options. I think it's an MMA fighter, and I believe I have 5 rounds to finish this fight. People being watching different Cyborg, so I have a lot of things for showing the game. I think you guys can see how I improve my game and learning every day, and I'm just excited for Friday.
Chris, you've been such a decorated knockout artist back in the Strike Force days. You've won championships in Invicta, UFC. We saw you in Elite XC, if you can remember those
Yes.
times. But you've evolved into such a patient, efficient striker. What part of your game that you've improved on are you most proud of?
I improve everything. Like one thing I was never tired to learn. So I go to the gym and I like to learn. Went to Africa training with Rich, a lot of people over there, and I learned a lot from there. I trained this camp with Antonio McKee. I learned a lot about the shop, you guys. It's family, and I feel ready. I like to improve every fight. So we can happen a lot of things in the fight Friday.
I like the idea of you working at the body shop. Antonio McKee, the coach, but of course his son AJ McKee, who had the big victory over Patricio Pitbull to become a new bright star. What was it like getting to work with him ahead of this camp?
I have one kid that trained a wrestler for a long time, and I didn't know he's start training body shop. So when AJ won the fight, I saw he post that, and they say, you know what, I would like to train a little bit Mickey, and I met him in person, and I love training for him. The family body shop, man, they train hard there, then train really hard, and I love hard train. So, and you train hard and smart train. So just make the amazing plan for my camp.
Well, Chris, you'll have this title defense. It'll be your third against Sinead Kavanagh Friday night, but a lot of people are bringing up the name Kayla Harrison to you, the unbeaten former Olympic judo gold medalist who's a free agent at the moment. Do you want Scott Coker and company at Bellator to extend her an offer to try to make this super fight?
My Fox is Sinead Friday. She looking to find a place to fight. So this is not my job. She can talk to Ali and talk to the promotion and to see what's the next step for her.
All right, that's fair. To close here, Chris, what should we expect when you touch gloves with Kavanagh Friday night? Do you have a prediction for us?
I have 5 rounds to finish the fight, so I'm gonna do what I work every day and make it excited for all my fans.
The living legend, Cris Cyborg, the pound for pound best in the game in Bellator. It's a pleasure to speak with you. Best of luck on Friday.
Thanks so much.
All right, and this is a look at the main card, which begins at 10 o'clock Eastern Time Friday on Showtime from Hollywood, Florida, just north of Miami. Cyborg and Kavanagh. That is the co-main, and there you have Vassell and Fortune in the other co-main events here at Bellator 271. For more on that and for some winning picks, we want to bring in Brian Campbell from Morning Combat Podcast. Before we get your picks, you spoke with Cyborg a little bit ago. What kind of an impact has she had since joining Bellator?
Yeah, she's been a huge free agent pickup because she's an attraction regardless of the competition in front of her. And that's been a calling card throughout her legendary historic career, meaning she's been up here. The competition has largely been below her, but you know what you're going to get when Cris Cyborg goes in there. And that's action, that's big punches, and that's the opportunity to watch one of the very best, male or female, to ever do it in this sport. She may be 36 years old, but outside of that knockout loss to Amanda Nunes at the tail end of her UFC career, she is still on top of this game, and it's really not all that close.
The odds would suggest that her opponent is just another tomato can in her way here on Bellator. What kind of a chance does Kavanagh have, if any?
Look, Sinead Kavanagh is a fighter. She grew up in the Irish amateur boxing system, was a teammate of famed gold medalist and now pro champion Katie Taylor. She lets her hands go and leaves nothing back on a nice 2-fight win streak right here. And she had a stretch before that where she lost 4 of 5, but sometimes the win-loss record can be deceiving. She lost on a cut in a fight. She was up ahead in a big way. And she also lost a very controversial decision during that stretch. She's a hard-nosed fighter. She goes after it. You're certainly going to give her the puncher's chance in this case. But eventually somebody's going to catch up with Cris Cyborg. That's the whole sort of equation here. One of these days, the legend's going to show up, and it won't be her day. She'll be a half step behind. Could that be this day? I certainly like Kavanagh's chances more than some of the previous opponents Cyborg has been in there, mostly because she's got size, She's got aggressiveness, and if she's going to win, it's going to be by knockout. She's going to go after it. You see those betting odds, you know what those are telling you, but here is a very hungry opponent standing across from the legend.
Okay, so maybe a sprinkle on that, and maybe even go with a knockout as well. I mean, the odds are great. There's a ton of value there. Is it worth it?
Maybe for a couple bucks here and there, Chris, you know, the kind of spare cash you carry and those dungarees on you right now. Don't invest much more than that. It's still Cyborg's world, and the rest of the Bellator women at 145 are just existing in it. You get into a firefight with Cyborg, you might as well better be Amanda Nunes, right? The greatest of all time, to try to finish her, because that's the only one who has done it during this incredible stretch. Cyborg has worked on her accuracy and her patience as her age has gotten up there into her 30s. I like her to get the finish, just as spectacular as ever. The same thing you love about Kavanagh in terms of her hunger could be the same thing that speeds up her exit.
Okay, so it's one of these days it's going to happen, but the day is not going to be Friday for Cyborg to lose. Co-main should be more competitive. Tyrell Fortune, Linton Vassell, these two are friends. They've trained together. Who's going to be the happier friend tomorrow night?
Odds are very close on this one, but I like Tyrell Fortune's overall game. Look, Vassell has fought before at light heavyweight, been a title contender. He's a well-rounded fighter, but Tyrell Fortune brings big power in his recent win streak, and we know his background. It is wrestling. He's already come out and said, look, if Vassell tries to take me down, he knows what's going to happen to him. That's a reversal, and that's some big-time ground and pound. Tyrell Fortune carries a big right hand. He's been hungry. He's been aggressive. It feels like he's close to having his moment, to getting up to that title level. He had a bit of a hiccup in a loss to Timothy Johnson, but he has bounced back so nicely since then. If Tyrell Fortune wins here, you could be talking about a title shot in his future. I like Tyrell Fortune. I like his game just a little bit more with Vassell, more on the tail end of his career at this point.
Okay, the main card beginning 10 o'clock Eastern on Showtime. What's your best bet, BC, for this main card?
Look, watch out for former super prospect Aaron Pico. He's still just 23 years old. We all know the story of him being the biggest prospect in MMA history and then suffered, 3 losses in his first 6 fights. But he's gone back to the table and worked on his game, and that's a refocus on the wrestling that you see right there. He's as decorated in every category as any fighter we've ever seen at that age. What I like about this one is this is good matchmaking. Justin Gonzalez is hungry. He's unbeaten. He's won before in the UFC on the Dana White Contender Series, and he's fresh off a great win in his Bellator debut. Expect him to push Aaron Pico, but I think Pico is in line and getting ready for that first title shot. The featherweight division is tough and loaded, but when Pico's operating full speed ahead, using defense, using smarts, and not just out there physically reacting, he's an altogether different type of dangerous animal. I think there's still time for Aaron Pico to live up to that bright potential. Maybe not taking over the game like the next Tiger Woods or what have you, but here is still a great young fighter who's still learning, and he looks ready for this one.
All right, Brian, I'm going to be talking much more with you tomorrow as we get set for UFC 271 just north of Miami at the Hard Rock Casino. Thank you so much. Here are his picks. He does like Cyborg, even though the odds aren't really, suggesting much of a bet on that because you're just not getting any value there. Maybe worth a couple of bucks on, a potential upset there for Sinead Kavanagh, but he doesn't think that's going to happen tomorrow. He likes Fortune via KO in the second round, and Pico is his best bet to take down Gonzalez, who is 12-0 in his career. Brian Campbell can be heard on the Morning Combat podcast with his co-host Luke Thomas. It's your daily MMA and boxing pod. Download and follow today wherever you get your media.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.